everybody. Hello. How you doing? Wednesday, May 4th, 2022. I hope everybody is having or has had a good Wednesday. Before we get into any of the good jazz, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Go find the socials, The Alex Cuesta Show. With me, as always, on The Alex Cuesta Show is my brother, David. David, how are you?
I'm doing pretty well. My back's been hurting, though, so I feel like an old man.
Well, people that, if anyone doesn't know, they haven't listened. David, not only does David do MMA, David does a job that I don't know if is your job really considered manual labor anymore? Do you do much?
It's not
manual labor as much as it used to be.
Some, but it's not a lot.
But David is
never really been a lot.
It is active and he's moving, so he's not just an old man. He could have a legitimate semi-back injury. But knowing my brother, he's also a moron, is kind of going to ignore it.
I'm pretty sure it's my sciatica, so I think it's just me being an old man.
It could just be you. The sciatica is kind of an old man injury.
Yeah, exactly.
But so, Dave, here's to hoping that today isn't the last show of the week, because for whatever reason, the last few weeks, every time after we recorded, I've just been unmotivated and been like, fuck it. I'm not recording the next few days.
How about you don't do that?
That's just, well, I have an excuse, and it was a valid one. And I said it on Monday that I watched the draft on Thursday and Friday, and that was it. That was the main reason why I didn't record. I watched the draft.
Yeah, that's a great reason.
It is a great reason, because you want to know why? Because unfortunately in my office right now, I don't have my TV up yet. I feel like I'd be much more apt to like come down and do these shows if something like the draft could just be on in the corner, because we don't have any video on me, so no one could see that I'm not actually looking at anything. And most of my thoughts are really just sporadic and useless anyway. So even if I'm not paying attention, the show wouldn't be that different. So
that is fair.
That is fair. So before we jump into the main topic, let's talk Biden COVID tracker. We are continuing with this fucking nonsense because, David, they still have not lowered it to an endemic. They are still holding unconstitutional pandemic emergency powers in their back pocket if they need it. And it's laughable at this point. But yesterday, the 3rd, we were at 81,402,866 cases in terms of deaths. We were at 993,588. Today, we're at 81,476,300. That is up 73,434 in terms of cases. Deaths, we are at 994,639. That's an uptick of 1,051. Now, Dave, you're not on every day, and you don't listen to me because you hate me. But the anomaly that I've been seeing is, since I've been tracking the deaths over the last few months, there's been like a chunk of days where it's been like no change, where the deaths have just stayed static. For a little bit, Dave, I was giving them the benefit of the doubt. Like, oh, maybe it was the weekend and government workers are fucking lazy and they don't want to do anything on the weekend, yada, yada, yada. And what I concluded yesterday is, Dave, they don't have the numbers to actually give true death counts, because we're not dealing with a deadly version of coronavirus per se. This, after a day of no counting, we're up to 1,051. That's probably cumulative of 2 days at this point, because they didn't have enough to put out yesterday. Dave, again, I asked you last week, I'm going to ask you this week. Do you think what's your feelings on them still not giving up the pandemic powers? Do you think that they're going to ever give up the pandemic powers, or will it be up to hopefully a Republican Congress in November or whatever they come in January saying, hey, it's time, give it up, it's over? Or do we have to wait until the change in presidency? Because it doesn't seem like Mr. Robinette Biden over there is going to give it up anytime soon.
Yeah, they're just going to hold on to it for as long as possible. That's really all it's going to be. I don't know exactly what change is going to happen that would make them get rid of these pandemic powers, because it seems like they really like it, especially if something else were to happen. If there's another emergency, we might need to use these. So it'll take some sort of pushback, like what happened, I believe it was Philly, where they tried to reinstate masks in some sense, but people just said no, not happening. And in like 4 days, they just revoked it.
I feel like it's kind of like their back pocket thing too. It's like a parent that it's like, you're going to go to your room, and with our government, it's like, now like, we're going to lock you down again. We have the power to do it type of shit. Like it's annoying. It's frustrating. And we're not going to harp too much on this. I just like to throw it in there because, like I always say, we have to hold this man accountable. If it was such a big deal before about the cases and the deaths, until it was done being called a pandemic, it must still be a big deal. Because if it's not a big enough deal to be running a ticker and a tracker on all the cases and all the deaths and making sure everyone knows it ad nauseum, then it's not that important, period. So call it what it is. We're in an endemic phase. Denmark has officially called it an endemic. I don't know if you saw that, Dave. Denmark is the first country to stop essentially pushing their vaccinations. You could still go out and voluntarily get a vaccination if you want, and an advanced treatment if you want. I'm not even going to really call these a vaccination, an advanced treatment if you want, but they're not going to start pushing it. They're going to kind of wait until fall and see what the numbers look like. Yeah. And that's logic sense in terms of illnesses. In fall, when it starts to get cold, we start to see all the illnesses really pop back up. Even though right now everyone's getting a pretty severe cold because we've been locked up for 2 fucking years and nobody's has come out. So it's been interesting. I'm going to keep this up until Air Biden decides to give up his pandemic powers. But we're going to jump off politics, Dave. We are going to get into some fun. Last week, we kind of gave our predictions for the draft. Interestingly enough, I actually deleted my little thing for the draft, so I wasn't even able to track myself. I would have to go back and listen to my whole episode to give my own numbers. So it is what it is. I do know that I was wrong on a good amount of them because I had Evan Neal going to the Jets. That obviously didn't happen. I did have Sauce Gardner going to the Jets at 10, so he did go just in a different way. I had Hutchinson going first, Walker going second. That obviously got flipped. But we'll talk in depth about the draft itself. While I'm talking, so there were you mentioned this last Wednesday. This is not a quarterback heavy draft. There are not very good quarterbacks. So it is going to be much more of a talent need crazy draft. And Dave, it was wild. There were more trades and more moves by teams that I have seen, and not just in the first, but even in the second, third, fourth round, a lot of movement to go up and get guys that are impactful. Because this wasn't a quarterback heavy draft, but this was a talent heavy draft. It wasn't as lauded because there wasn't the big name quarterbacks, but wide receiver was very deep. Defensive end, very deep. After the first round, your running back started to get their due. A lot of linemen popped off the board. Linebackers really started moving. And again, obviously the numbers will show that out anyway, but I'm saying in terms of the talented guys we're going. Let's talk, Dave. Let's talk top 5 here. Let's just run it down. We'll kind of chunk it out just for the sake of time. One, I thought we had a surprise. Me and you talked that Trayvon Walker was jumping up boards just for his intangibles, which is surprising because he didn't have the production that you would think would be a number one guy. But Trayvon Walker, defensive end, Georgia goes number 1 to the Jags, number 2 to the Lions. Aiden Hutchinson, who was bar none the number 1 guy up until basically the final week. Yeah. But the Lions get a gift there. And I think a guy that we've had on the show before and one of our friends, Matt Santos, put it the right way. Aiden Hutchinson looks fucking crazy. And he does. Aiden Hutchinson does look like that guy. He looks like your typical country football player type of guy. Like, I'm just going to go, just give me the guy and I hit him with the football. Like, that is Aiden Hutchinson. Basically, not the Icebox. Who was the other guy in Little Giants? What was the name of?
I don't remember.
Oh, my God.
I don't remember.
Might be him. But number 3, a surprise, I think, to us Jets fans, a pleasant surprise. Derek Stingwood Jr., defensive back from LSU, goes to the Texans. Then the Jets go up and grab, they not go up, but they have 4th pick, get Sauce Gardner, cornerback Cincinnati. And then with the 5th pick, a guy that a lot of people thought the Jets were going to grab, the Giants end up landing Kayvon Thibodeau. So I mentioned some of my surprises there. Dave, what were your surprises in the top 5 there?
I think my main surprise was probably Stingley or Sauce. I wasn't entirely sure if JD was going to pick up a corner at 4. Yeah. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm happy he did. And I mean, I know how high Stingley was rated, but I still didn't know if he was going to go top 3 to the Texans like that. So seeing corners go that high is not often. So just in general, it's a surprise, but especially knowing the way Douglas kind of does things somewhat. I mean, let's be honest, it's not like he's been with the Jets for a long time. No, he hasn't. So it just seemed like he wouldn't be the type of guy to go and take a corner at 4. But now knowing how they looked at the draft, now past the draft, you could see why he did it.
Yeah, certainly. And, I think a lot of people forget leading up because a lot of things became about Sauce Gardner and his length and not giving up, giving up basically like 60 something yards all season, no touchdowns in three, like all season. He was very lauded, but going into the draft for a while, Derek Stingwood Jr. was bar none the best corner. And one of the main reasons is because he was facing SEC talent every single game, and his body is big, and he's going to be a very skilled guy. The Texans are getting a very talented guy there. As a Jets fan, I'm pumped about Sauce Gardner. Long, lanky, reminds me of Antonio Cromartie a whole bunch. Hopefully, he could be a little bit, maybe, I'm not going to say better than Chrome. I'm hoping for San Diego Chargers Cromartie, where he was a number one guy, came to the Jets, took a side seat to Revis, who's arguably top two defensive backs, top three, but right next to Ronnie Lott and Deion Sanders. So there's nice there. Now, Kayvon Thibodeau was an interesting one, Dave. We saw him dropping. The Giants smelled blood and grabbed him at 5. I think that's a amazing pick for the Giants, considering their tradition at defensive end and edge. I feel like if they can get some alumni to come back there and just kind of get in his ear, they can maybe get him motivated because, man, if you perform well, you're in the all-time single season sack leader shadow. You're in O.C. Umenyiora. You're in JPP. You're in Justin Tuck shadow. Like there is, over the last 20 years, some of the best sack artists in the history of the game have been on that team. He can join them. Do you think that there's any motivation? Like his motivation and love for football is questioned. Do you think this type of pick gets him a little more motivated to become one of the all-time greatest Giants?
Possibly. I'm just not sure if he really cares that much about that factor in general. I think the thing he might care about more is people even talking about his love for the game or how much of a motor he has, because that seems to be the biggest knock. That is the biggest knock on him is his motor. Is he going to take plays off? How much does he love the game? And, that's been said about people before, and it's been correct about some and incorrect about others. So, but the thing is that whenever I see this being talked about, I feel like that's going to be the primary motivating factor for someone. Is the fact of the matter is these people are saying that you do not love what you do best, and someone else is going to be better than you because of that. And I feel like when someone tells you that, it's just like, no. Like, go after yourself. I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to work even harder. So the Giants' impact, yes, there's probably might be something there, especially if you get a call from some of these guys that to even motivate you to do well, even if they'd say, don't even offer any help. They just say, I hope you do well. There'll still be some motivation there, but I just think all the criticism of him is going to be the primary motivating factor.
It should be. And it's kind of basically, you're going to get Jadeveon Clowney or you're going to get Myles Garrett. Jadeveon Clowney shows flashes of the unbelievable potential, but a lot of the times, this is the reason why he's been on 3 different teams, because he's not the amazing player we thought he was going to be. But Myles Garrett, on the other hand, is an absolute monster. Myles Garrett lives up to everything that we thought he would. So it's like the difference between those two, because Myles Garrett also had questions coming in about his motor and proved everybody wrong. Jadeveon Clowney had another one. He had questions, and he's still a very good player, but that could be the difference. Is Thibodeau going to end up being a Myles Garrett or Jadeveon Clowney? Both very good players. One has a chance to be the sack leader every year in Myles Garrett. The other one is going to give you maybe 10 sacks and big flashes. Let's keep going. 6 through 10. Ikem Ekwonu goes to the Panthers. Evan Neal goes to the Giants. Drake London. Oh, maybe I share the positions. Ikem Ekwonu is an offensive tackle. Evan Neal is also an offensive tackle. Drake London, wide receiver, USC, goes to the Falcons. Charles Cross, offensive tackle, Mississippi State, goes to the Seahawks. And then the Jets at 10 grab Garrett Wilson, wide receiver, Ohio State. Now, Dave, I got to say, Carolina probably got the best player in the draft. Ikem Ekwonu is, bar none, he is at the level of, we've said it before, Quentin Nelson, where people think he has the chance to be Hall of Famer offensive tackle position. And, we say a lot about these guys, maybe all pro, really good, big piece to the team. It's very rare that you have scouts and people say Hall of Fame, to Hall of Fame ability. He has that. So Carolina, while they have a lot of holes to fill, maybe found the good answer at left tackle for a long time. And then you have Evan Neal for the Giants. They address the line. Very good player as well. Surprising here, number 8, Drake London. wide receiver at USC, big, tall wide receiver going to the Falcons. Dave, the Falcons have a lot more problems than at wide receiver. To get Drake London, to me, was a weird pick. I get it. They need weapons out there, but they need a lot. They need a lot on that football team. That is not a very good football team right now. And I don't think you build around a wide receiver. Now, they did other things in the later rounds and had a pretty good draft overall. But to me, it was surprising considering not a lot of people had Drake London that high either. And Charles Cross, good player out of good tackle out of Mississippi State. Another guy right in there at the mix with Neil Naquanu. And then the Jets getting Garrett Wilson, who many considered the best wide receiver in the draft. Again, Jets fans, we're elated. David, 6 through 10, what do you got there?
Well, I really like Ekwonu for the Panthers, mainly because it seems like the Panthers are going to be going through a transition phase or more of a rebuilding phase sooner than they want to. And I feel like if you're going to put an anchor there, a damn good offensive tackle is a good anchor to have. Yep. So it's just a good pickup. You go and get possibly the best player in the draft, just overall.
Yep.
And you do what you need to do. I mean, there's a lot of other things that the Panthers need to fix, unfortunately, but that's a damn good step in the right direction. And then the Drake London thing at 8, it is a little weird for Falcons to get him, but you got to remember the weirdness happening at Falcons wide receiver position.
Yep.
Plus, a lot of people did like Drake London a lot because of his ability to win at the high point. He's able to win contested catches. Mm-hmm. He's able to do it a lot. And that's something that QBs are going to like. That's something that people are going to like.
And right now they have Marcus Mariota there, who is bound to miss throws. So he's a good guy to go help him.
Yeah, that is true. But yeah, I mean, I can see why they go wide receiver. And I can also see why they go Drake London. It wasn't my favorite guy, but it's not like he's a bad wide receiver. At least he doesn't seem like he'll be bad. Exactly. Yeah. And then I'll just address Garrett Wilson. I love the pick. He was one of the top guys. Really, I would have loved him or Jameson Williams, honestly, just playmaking ability wise. Mm-hmm. And Wilson to Wilson connection should be awesome.
Yeah, certainly should. So let's jump into 11 and 15. Again, another fun fact about Wilson and Wilson. Apparently, Zach Wilson has already started bugging Garrett Wilson about getting together and running routes, which go Zach Wilson. Anyway, number 11, Jets started a string of wide receivers going. Chris Olave, wide receiver, Ohio State, Garrett Wilson's teammate, goes to New Orleans. Jameson Williams, wide receiver, Alabama, goes to Detroit. Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia, goes to Philadelphia. Kyle Hamilton, basically everything on the defense. You could play him at safety. You could play him at rush linebacker from Notre Dame, goes to the Ravens. And over at 15, Kenyon Green, offensive lineman, Texas A&M, goes to the Texans. Now, Dave, there were a few teams within the top 15 that had 2 picks. Jets, Giants, Texans, Lions. I have to say, all the teams did well. Every single team that had 2 picks within the top 15, between the Lions getting Hutchinson and Jameson Williams. Like, holy shit, what a great draft already for them right there. The Texans getting Kenyon Green, the offensive lineman, and also Derek Stingway. Again, 2 very good, talented players that you impact for a long time. But I have to say, I absolutely loved the Kyle Hamilton for Baltimore pick because he just seems like a Raven. Everything about him just screams Baltimore Ravens because like he is that guy. He just goes, he's going to be a professional. He's going to go there. He's going to do his job. He might kill a guy. He might get away with doing it, but he's just really, really good at everything he does. And he's one of those dudes where you're looking at some of the Ravens guys outside of maybe Ray Lewis and Ed Reed, where they're just all world athleticism. They're just fucking good football players and they do their job and they fly around. And he just seems like he's going to fit that culture and fit everything about it. And he's going to make our buddy Ryan Greenhouse really happy while making Colton Gesser cry 2 times a year.
Yeah, it's really funny because that exact thing you said is basically what every commentator said whenever the Ravens made a pick this draft. Whenever they made this is such a Ravens guy. it's like, and it makes sense, but it also doesn't make sense because it's like, yeah, I'm hearing kind of what he is without hearing what he is. But I do agree. Kyle Hamilton is hard-nosed. He gives you everything. Yes, no doubt. I can agree somewhat that it's a Ravens pick from seeing what the defensive legends are, but I think everyone wants some guy like that on their defense. So yes, it is a Ravens pick, but it's also just a good pick. I don't know, that just hearing that all the time is hilarious.
Honestly, I think it's Ozzie Newsome and the way he just finds guys that you see just the way they are on the field, and it's a culture thing, like the way that they handle themselves. Like Kyle Hamilton's not going to make a big play and do a big showboat move. He'll make a big play and he's going to go take a jog back to the huddle, maybe high five a guy. Like that's the type of thing I think they mean by a Ravens guy. Good football player that handles his shit.
It's just hilarious. It's just really funny.
True. That's one way to describe him.
But one thing to notice is that not only did we have a wide receiver go at 8, we had 3 in a row, 10, 11, 12. All of them should be pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Hopefully. I mean, you always hope that. Honestly, I hope that most of these
craziness is Olave is the weakest one out of the 4, which is insane to think that Olave is the weakest one out of the 4, and he's going to has all pro potential.
Yeah, and he should be still damn good. And he's going to the Saints. And the Saints, I mean, there's some weirdness going on there, but they have Jameis back, and I still believe in Jameis. So,
yeah.
But also, I mean, you brought up Jameis and the Lions. The Lions did damn well. I just think that's helpful. Especially to a new coach, just to get the players that they got in this draft, at least in these first 2 picks. I mean, Jameson Williams is just such a damn playmaker that you can't really put too much of a price tag on him, what he could be out there.
Just think now, you have Amron St. Brown? What is his last name? I forget his last name.
Yeah,
Amron St. Brown and Jameson Williams on either side of the football. Holy shit. And just think, it's going to be Jared Goff or somebody throwing the ball to them. It's going to be, the Lions, if they don't win games, you're going to have to out-track meet them because they also have Swift running the football behind them.
Oh, and they're going to bite your kneecaps.
That offense is going to be very good. That offense is going to be good. They're going to score 20 to 30 points a game. Well, last year they were a good offense towards the end of the season.
Okay. They were okay.
But you know what? It's a good step in the right direction for a franchise that needs good steps. But again, Jameson Williams, hopefully you don't turn into an all-pro because that means they won't win Super Bowls and they will try their best not to let you go and ruin the prime of your career.
No.
Anyway, let's go through 16 through 20. We continue with wide receivers. Washington, Commies take Jahan Dotson, wide receiver, Penn State. Zion Johnson, offensive lineman from Boston College, goes 17 to the Chargers. At 18, Treylon Burks, wide receiver, Arkansas, goes to Tennessee. That had some tomfoolery going on there. We'll talk about it. At 19, Trevor Penning, offensive tackle from Northern Iowa, goes to the Saints. And at 20, Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pittsburgh, goes to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, we're going to talk about it right away. 18, the Titans traded with the Eagles to get to 18. They traded A.J. Brown, their star wide receiver, to the Eagles, who then promptly gave A.J. Brown a 4-year, $100 million extension. And they brought in Treylon Burks, who's every single network across the board had his player comparison as A.J. Brown. So you're bringing in the carbon copy of the guy you got rid of because you didn't feel like paying him. And then we'll talk a little bit later about another situation with the Titans, which tells me that Vrabel and company is doing some weird shit over there. And Mike Vrabel's gambling with his coaching career over there right now, because if the things that he's doing right now doesn't work out with him and the GM, Vrabel's going to be out. So we shall see what goes on there. But outside of the tomfoolery, Treylon Burks is a very nice wide receiver. I want to talk about Kenny Pickett, Jersey boy, Ocean Township, New Jersey. Going at 20, first quarterback taken at number 20, which is extremely rare in the common era, in any era of football, to be quite honest. Quarterbacks are extremely important. Now, there's a lot of questions with all the quarterbacks. Kenny Pickett, I keep on joking around saying they just redrafted Mitch Trubisky, but they really might have, because he's a very similar guy. He's a good pocket presence, very athletic, can get around the outside. He's very famous for that fake slide that he did that it looked like he might have torn every single ligament inside of his knee, which they made a rule after that fake slide that you cannot fake slide because of him. But I don't know. I think you're hopeful. If you're a Steelers fan, you're kind of still reeling from the death of one of your quarterbacks that you thought might challenge and Dwayne Haskins. So it's like, it's really bittersweet to be a Steelers fan right now. I think it's hard to have any emotion towards any of this shit with what went on, but I don't know. I don't know if Kenny Pickett's the guy. I know Pittsburgh had to pull the trigger on a quarterback in this draft between essentially Pickett and Willis, but I don't think either of them are the guy. And I think that's the problem here. I don't think either of them are the guy.
Yeah, I mean, start off rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. Absolutely. I don't think we said it on the show, which is
no, I don't think we
unfortunate because it was just too far away from when it happened to when we recorded.
Yes.
Rest in peace to Dwayne Haskins. It was a tragedy.
100%. Yeah.
Overall, I really don't understand the pick at 20. I'm not going to lie to you. I get it. They need a QB. I don't like, and it's funny saying this, that drafting a QB at 20 seems a little high to me.
Yeah.
But that's still kind of what this draft is. And I mean, I know it sounds ridiculous, but you have Mitch over there right now. I know he's a transitory QB, but you could still have him for a couple more years, and then roll into another QB. Whether you could pick up a veteran or a rookie, it doesn't matter. But I don't really believe that much in Kenny Pickett.
Nope.
And maybe I'm wrong. I mean, hey, all Steelers fans would love me to be wrong. I just don't believe that much in Kenny Pickett to say go get him at 20 with all the talent on the board that you could have gotten. Now, I mean, whatever they saw, they liked. So, I mean, go ahead and do it. I guess with their system, Pickett fits better than Willis. I'm not sure. But it was just a weird pick to me. And then I just want to hop into the 18th pick with Burks. Yes, it's a little wild that they traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles, which, I mean, great pickup for the Eagles. You want to talk about still trying to help out your young QB. With
Devonta Smith on the other side?
You're showing that you at least have some trust in Jalen Hurts by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And that's good to see. But the literally only issue with A.J. Brown is injury issues, which it can be a big issue if he's out a lot, but we'll see what happens. And for the Titans to do this, especially with what happens later in the draft, which we'll talk about, but for the Titans to do this just shows that while they probably do love A.J. Brown, I just don't think that they trusted his ability to be on the field enough to pay him that much money when they can go and pick up a wide receiver that could still be damn good, maybe not A.J. Brown level, but still be damn good.
Yeah. Yep, there is that possibility. Now, the only value about picking Kenny Pickett at 20 is there isn't real pressure to start him this year. I know a lot of Steelers fans are like, oh, we're going to have to start Pickett. He was the 20th pick. He wasn't the top 5. He wasn't top 10. He was the 20th pick. So there is a value in getting him there because, yes, you expect a lot of him. He's a first-round draft pick, but he's not a top 10 guy. He's not a top 5 guy. There isn't the pressure to start him right away. You can have him sit the year behind Mitch. Now, I think the only other thing is they might be kicking themselves that they made this pick and then Nick Foles gets kicked out, because Nick Foles would have been the perfect transition quarterback where you could have maybe, if you would have known anything about that, you grab one of the quarterbacks in the later rounds, you grab a Nick Foles, you tell Mitch Trubisky to kick fucking rocks, and you let Nick Foles be the mentor. Because honestly, I'd rather have Nick Foles mentoring a quarterback and, Napoleon Dynamite doing his thing than Mitch Trubisky. What's Mitch Trubisky going to teach a quarterback? Nick Foles at least won a championship and was the catalyst to winning that championship. It wasn't like he was a game manager. Nick Foles actually balled the fuck out. So I don't know. That Nick Foles is going to land somewhere too, and it's going to be interesting to see where Foles goes, because he's going to become like a scrappy veteran, like a Ryan Fitzpatrick or Jeff Garcia was, where he's not just a stopgap guy. You could still get to a playoffs with him as quarterback. So interesting there. Let's go into the rest. 21 through 25. Trent McDuffie, quarterback, Washington, goes to the Chiefs. Interestingly enough, that's the first corner taken since Sauce Gardner at 4. So there's a huge gap there. 22, Quay Walker, linebacker, Georgia, which a lot to say there, goes to the Packers. 23, Kyer Elam, cornerback, Florida, goes to Buffalo. Number 24, Tyler Smith, offensive tackle, Tulsa, goes to the Cowboys. 25, Tyler Lindenbaum, center from Iowa, goes to the Ravens. So interesting. I want to talk about Quay Walker right away. He was bar none considered the second best, if not even a far cry away from their best linebacker all year, Nakobe Dean. We'll talk about Nakobe Dean because he's not on this first round. But even every commentary across the board was scratching their head going, why take Quay Walker over Nakobe Dean? It does not make any sense. Not a knock on Quay Walker. Quay Walker is a very nice player, probably going to be a good pro. But he doesn't have the potential of Nakobe Dean unless the Packers see something we don't. And also, every Packers fan was hilarious going, what the fuck? Why isn't there a wide receiver? And this is a theme for the Packers for a few picks where it's like, okay, a wide receiver. What? No, a wide receiver. Jesus Christ. And it's funny because Aaron Rodgers was on with Pat McAfee watching the draft on the Pat McAfee show. And when they got Quay Walker, Aaron Rodgers was like, yeah, Quay's a talented guy. I like Q. Q's a good player. And like trying to be like happy, but it's like, man, you get me my guy. Like, and there's plenty of good wide receivers still left. And so it's kind of funny there. Another comment, Tyler Smith, offensive tackle, Tulsa. People were a little surprised by that because it's a little higher than they thought Tyler Smith was going to go, but you have to understand the Cowboys went from having bar none the best offensive line to now there's a lot of question marks. They at least get a guy in Tyler Smith who should be a starter for a long time there. He might not be your overly talented guy that's going to be a forever player, but you at least have a good time and you need to guard Dak Prescott. He's coming back from an injury. You need to get him big bodies. There's other things they have to address in Dallas, but in terms of need, they might have reached a little, but you had to here. I don't think they had a choice. Outside of that, Dave, I don't have much more to say. Do you have anything to say? 21, 25?
The Tyler Linderbaum pick is a very Ravens pick. No, but he was.
Hey, Tyler Linderbaum was Mr. 31 in my little thing, but he ended
was
up
loved as well, though, as a center coming in. People really, really liked him. I know some people mocked him to the Jets, actually.
Yes.
Seeing it as like a Nick Mangold kind of like guy. So it is genuinely just a good pickup for the Ravens. You always want a damn good center because he's in charge of a lot.
Yep.
And I mean, the Chiefs going out and get a cornerback. You could always get more cornerbacks, especially at the way Gabriel Davis destroyed some of your defensive backs last year in the playoffs. So it's a good thing to go out and pick up someone. McDuffie's pretty good. So the Chiefs made the right choice there, at least in that decision. And I overall, I think they had a decent draft, but I like the pick of corner there. And I mean, you said all you need to say about Quay in that situation. So I will say, Kaiir Elam, I hope you have a good career. I just hope it's somehow without being on the Bills. I hope you somehow leave and have a better career than you have with the Bills.
I'll put it this way. For 15 games, be an all-pro. For 2 of them, be a dumpster fire.
Yes, exactly.
Be healthy, be happy, be an all-pro, have 20 interceptions, be the greatest corner of all time until you play the Jets twice a year.
It's just not against Jets.
Terrible twice a year. Get the yips twice a year against the Jets.
Yes, thank you. That is better. That is 100% better.
David, I'm turning over a new leaf. I'm not blaming officiating anymore. I'm not wishing mass deaths on teams that I hate. I'm just going to turn over a new leaf and just say, play shitty against us.
Yeah, that's it.
And I won't
have your best game against us.
Yes. And if your best game happens to be one tackle, make that your best game. Anyway, let's go on. 26. The Jets jump back in to the draft. They pick Jermaine Johnson, the second defensive end from Florida. At 27, Devin Lloyd, linebacker, Utah, goes to Jacksonville. At 28, the Packers pick up a defensive tackle, Devontae Wyatt from Georgia. At 29, the Patriots pick Cole Strange, a guard from Tennessee Chattanooga. And at 30, Chiefs get a really nice player in George Karlaftis, edge from Purdue. Out of this group, again, the running joke with the Packers is, where's the wide receiver? They get a really good defensive tackle in Devontae Wyatt from Georgia, but they need a wide receiver. He's going to be very easy to transition with the helmet. He's just switching from a red helmet with the G to a green helmet with the G. It's the same fucking G. But the Jets trading back in to get Jermaine Johnson, who was on a lot of people's big boards, a top 15 talent, if not top 10 talent, didn't interview well at all. I guess the knock on him is he's kind of a dickhead. But the Jets coached him up in the Senior Bowl, so they were pumped. Joe Douglas was trying to get back in when he dropped to 15. So they made a deal with the Titans here. And the Titans made a shit ton of deals. But they made a deal with the Titans here. Now, I talked about Karlaftis. Karlaftis is a really good player. The Chiefs might have gotten arguably one of the best edges in the whole thing. I know the top few guys were Aiden Hutchinson and Carter, and a lot of people love Jermaine Johnson's raw skills. George Karlaftis just produced at Purdue. And he's going to be that guy that is just going to come in and just produce. And he's going to be a monster. Now, the head scratcher, where you don't see this very often with a Bill Belichick pick, nobody understands why he took Cole Strange at Tennessee Chattanooga at 29. A lot of people had him ranked in the 50 to 75 range on their big board. Now, Belichick, I guess it's similar to the Ravens, where it's like kind of they look for their type of guy. And Belichick saw something in him. And I don't know. I can't make too many comments about Cole Strange because I don't know anything about Tennessee Chattanooga, Dave. But a lot of people in the commentary was like, this makes no sense. So how do you feel about 26 through 30?
There was a video that came out, Sean McVay, and I can't remember who was next to him. It was one of the other personnel on the Rams, but they heard that he picked Cole Strange, and they actually really liked the pick. They talked about all the things they liked about Cole Strange. So it is interesting. I don't know. I mean, it's weird seeing him go at 29, a guy from Tennessee Chattanooga, a random guard. But if you feel like your offensive line needs help, and if he could be a plug and play kind of guy, and he could be that damn good, I can see why he would do it. It's like I said, it's really weird, but I don't entirely doubt what's happening over there. I'm not going to lie to you because they still made the playoffs. Yeah. So there's no reason for me to doubt them. Yep. So 26, us coming back in to get Jermaine Johnson. I really don't care about how he interviewed because we ended up getting him. And in our defense, just letting him loose to go attack the quarterback should be awesome. Honestly, it should be really, really cool. And then the Packers not selecting a wide receiver in the first round again. I love it. I hope
it's a great meme
for years and years and years because it's just hilarious. I feel bad for Aaron Rodgers not getting anything from the first round wide receiver wise, but it's just so funny. It's so funny to watch it happen.
It's a great meme. It really is. So let's round out this round. 31, Daxton Hill, safety from Michigan, goes to Cincinnati. And at 32, final pick of the first round, Lewis Sign, Sine Sign, I don't want to say your name, safety from Georgia, goes to the Vikings. Interestingly enough, I thought Lewis Sign was a reach because I think he played for Georgia. So I think he got a lot more pop. From what I saw his name mentioned a few times when I did the whole mock draft thing, but he was definitely ranked more as a second round talent. So I think this might've been a little bit of a reach. Daxton Hill's a really good player. Getting him at 31 is great value for Cincinnati. So it is very good value there. And that's going to round out this first round. Dave, do you have anything to say about those last two chaps?
I do have to say, why in the hell does NFL.com have under player position as safety SAF?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
That's
I don't know. Why is it just a big S?
Yeah,
I'm looking at the same thing.
Yeah, but no, that's weird. But I actually don't mind both these picks. The Bengals getting Daxton Hill to pair with Jeremy Bates. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. Yep. That's just helpful in general. And then the Vikings have needed some defensive help now from last year. So just getting another good safety is yet again helpful. These guys, other than like really middle linebacker, a lot of safeties have a lot to handle on that defensive end, on that defensive mindset. So if you get the right one back there, it is such a good thing to have.
So now we're jumping to the second round, Dave. Let's start jumping around a little. We're not going to do it as formal because me and you are not college football buffs. We don't know all these guys, but we do know some names. So I'm going to start off real quick. In the second pick, number 34th pick, second in the second round. Packers get their wide receiver, and they actually get a very talented one. Christian Watson from North Dakota State is a very productive player on definitely the best team in the FCS series, has been a championship team for a long time. I think that Aaron Rodgers is going to be very happy with Watson.
And the funny thing is that they traded up to get him. In fact, they traded with another team in their division to go get him. I really do feel like they made a pact to never get a wide receiver in the first round. I mean, maybe like Christian Watson, you could say he's not a first round talent. That's fine. And I wouldn't disagree really. But the fact of the matter is that they made 2 picks in the first round, not wide receiver, just to trade up in the second to go get a wide receiver. It's hilarious.
It is good. I want to talk about our Jets. Our Jets on the 36th pick, getting Breece Hall, running back from Iowa State. And that rounds out the top guys that they got. Mm-hmm. Easily, everyone had him rated as the best running back in this whole draft. NFL was doing kind of their like ratings, like kind of like they rate like in a sports game. He was rated 99 overall, not playmaking only ability, not 99 overall. And he's up there with the likes of Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley and things like that. And as much as I'm seeing, apparently he's chalked to take Michael Carter's spot as the starter week 1. And Michael Carter burst onto the scene last year and looked like he could be a top 15 running back. So what a great pick by Joe Douglas there. I'm super excited about the Breece Hall pick, Dave. And not even just because he's a Jets fan, but because there's another running back later that I'm also extremely excited about. Go ahead, Dave. Do you have anything to say about? Obviously, you have something to say about Breece Hall there.
No, yeah. I mean, I love it because, listen, there's only so many ways you could really go about the draft that we talked about for the Jets. And one of them was getting Zach Wilson as many weapons as possible, because if he fails, it's going to be on him. Mm-hmm. There is no narrative anymore about the Jets failed the QB. You can't say that they failed unless every single person that they pick somehow underperforms. There's no way you could say that they failed a QB this time. It is literally all on Zach, which is, I mean, that's a good thing. It's good to have it be on him so he knows that he's just got to keep producing. But I don't want to talk too much about Zach because it's about Breece Hall. Breece Hall is damn good, especially you have everyone talking about him being either number 1 or number 2. I know that some people had him as a number 2 running back, but still top 2. And you go out and you pick him up to help your second year QB to go and be a damn good running back and not just be able to just take a handoff, but he's very good catching out of backfield, which is awesome. And especially when you're in a system that we have on offense, so the floor system, which loves running back by tandem. You have both Breece Hall and Michael Carter, and you have Teco coming in to kind of give him a spell. That's awesome. That'd be so much. That should be so much fun in this offense.
Yep, with Tyler Johnson there as the 4th and looking like LaMichael P. Ryan's going to be off the team. But it was very good there. I love it. Now, I want to talk about a few edge picks that were made that I really liked. At 6, the Falcons picked up Arnold Ebiketie, who is going to be a monster, probably raw talent-wise, as good as any of the guys picked in the first round. Another one also, Boye Mafe, edge from Minnesota, went to the Seahawks. Mafe had no reason falling out of the first round. I'll say that. It had to be a needs thing. Extremely good. And then another guy, David Ajabo, edge from Michigan, going to Baltimore. Baltimore's defense is holy fucking shit come next year because they have a lot of talent going there. Dave, those 3 edge players are going to be monsters. And I had to mention the second running back because the Seahawks went back-to-back with picks and got 2 really nice picks because the other guy that you talked about that people had as the 1 or right back and forth with Breece Hall was Kenneth Walker III. And Kenneth Walker III is much more your prototype from Michigan State. He'll kick the shit out of you between the tackles. But if he gets to the second level, he also has a burst of speed to run away from you. I really like what the Seahawks did with these 2 picks, and those 3 edges were really good. Do you have anybody else? Do you want to talk about those guys, or do you have anyone else that pops off to you?
I will say I don't love that the Bears went and got Kyler Gordon. It's nothing against Kyler Gordon. It's everything about me bringing up that the Jets say they don't want to fail Zach Wilson.
Yep.
I don't want to see the Bears just go out and fail Justin Fields. That's the thing. The Bears offense, not great. They don't have a lot of position players as skill players that are going to be very helpful to Justin Fields. And getting that pick in the second round for Kyler Gordon, he's probably going to be a fine player on defense. But I feel like you really should help your young QB that you put some draft you put some future consideration in drafting him that high.
Yeah, certainly. So let's talk about a head scratcher, Dave, because as much as people love the draft that the Jets had and are happy and high on the draft that the Giants had, everyone across the board is questioning the Wan'Dale Robinson pick at the 11th spot, the 43rd pick of the draft overall, 11th in the second round. Wide receiver, Kentucky, because he's a really small, shifty guy. And people are pissed because the Giants don't need that, especially when right after you, the Texans picked an extremely underrated John Mechie III.
I was actually
going to bring him up. Ability to be a number one. We're looking at kind of a Devonta Smith, Jalen Waddle situation here, or even an Olave Wilson situation where one outshines the other, but they're both extremely talented. Not to mention, Dave, that later on, Tyquan Thornton from Baylor comes off the board, and George Pickens from Georgia comes off the board, and Sky Moore from Western Michigan come off the board. You had a lot more better options than the Giants at that point. And I'm not taking anything from Wan'Dale Robinson, but Wan'Dale Robinson, I don't think is going to be this impact guy that they want him to be, unless they go and are going to really start running a gadget offense like the Jets do. He would fit very well in the Jets offense as a gadget guy because he's small, he's shifty, he's quick, he's a good route runner. But they need bodies. Daniel Jones can't hit a broadside of a fucking bar. They need guys that are going to go get it. And he's not that guy. So I scratched my head at that pick too. And another guy where a commentary was fantastic, I think, in this draft, because none of them hid their surprise at all. And none of them hid their criticisms a lot of the times either. So it was good. NFL Network, I watch NFL Network over ESPN because you have Mel Kiper and Todd McShay like, his intangibles are off the charts with every guy, even if it's the last guy picked. NFL Network's a little more real. Like, yeah, he's a nice player, but what the hell are they doing here? I really like that coverage. What do you think about Wan'Dale, Dave? I thought that I scratched my head on that one too, man.
I think especially with the wide receiver you have going right after, and some of the other wide receivers you have going later in the round, especially like Sky Moore at Chiefs.
Yep.
I don't like the pick very much. I mean, for me, the Texans really might have. I know. Some people have said Jermaine Johnson could have been a steal of the drafts and other things. John Mechie can be damn good.
He's a number one. He can
be damn good. I don't know if he'll be number one.
He can be.
But he can eat up receptions. He'll be all over the field. If you put him inside a slot corner, might have a very tough day with John Mechie. So that's the thing. And I believe he really only fell this much because of injury. Mm-hmm. But Mechie can be so good. Yes. He can be so good, and I really, really like him. I just don't get why you wouldn't take more of a chance on Mechie than you would on Wan'Dale Robinson, or why you wouldn't take more of a chance on someone like Sky Moore or George Pickens than on Robinson. It's weird. I don't know why they did it. Like I said, with the Steelers or Pickett, maybe they see something I don't, and I hope it works out. Really, I really do.
You know, I like Pickens for the Steelers. I really do. Mm-hmm. I see him very much as a Hines Ward type of guy. He reminds me a ton of Hines Ward. He has a mean streak to him. He's going to put his nose in. He has no problem hitting the fuck out of people. He did it all throughout Georgia, even to the point where he's slamming a Georgia Tech player's head into the padded wall by his face mask because George Pickens don't give a shit. But he also is a really good possession receiver. He's not going to wow you. He's not going to run by you, but he's going to make the catch in the end zone, the tough catch. He will make that catch. And he's going to catch every football thrown to him. If it's in his hands, Pickens doesn't drop it. He's a very good player. There's only one other guy I really want to talk about here, Dave. And unfortunately, it's fucking Buffalo that picked him up. James Cook, running back from Georgia, brother of Dalvin Cook, is quite literally a A-, B+ version of Dalvin Cook. And if there's one weak point that the Bills had on offense, it was running back. Singletary was hurt often. You couldn't count on their other guys. They just got their guy here. They just got their guy. Now when Josh Allen turns to hand the ball off, he's going to have confidence in James Cook. Oh, and James Cook is a really good catcher outside the backfield. So as much as I hate the Bills, and again, 15 great games, 2 fucked up ones for James Cook. That's all I care about. That's all I care about. That's all I want out of this man. But he's extremely good. I knew who he was. I'm a Florida State guy. I love Dalvin Cook. He was going to come to Florida State. Pissed at him. He went to Georgia. But great pick at 63 for the Bills. It is a fantastic pick for them.
Yeah. And if you want, we can move on to the third round. In fact, I have a couple players I wouldn't mind talking about just to start off.
Go ahead.
I do want to talk about not so much the Chad Muma pick at the sixth pick of the third round for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yep.
I think he'll be damn good. His tackle productivity is all over the damn field. But overall, the Jaguars really interesting because they're kind of somewhat having a trajectory like ours in the fact that it's just building off of so many young players.
Neither of us could go anywhere but up.
well, that's the thing. You're building off so many young players, and I'm very interested to see, compare and contrast how things work out. I mean, they had the Urban Meyer implosion, so that might set him back a little bit.
Through her jeans. He's a weird dude.
That might set him back a little bit, but it's just interesting to see how many young cats they're putting on their squad as much as we are. And Bears go and pick Velus Jones from Tennessee.
Yep.
Like I said, in the second round, plenty of wide receivers you could have picked. We went over them, really. I don't know how much they really like Jones. I think you could have picked up someone better for Justin Fields. But yet again, I hope it works out for them. And I hope it works out for Fields because it's not great to be picked as a top QB in a class. A top 5 QB in a class, I should say.
Yep.
But and then not be helped as much as you should be.
Yep. So we also have a few big names that went in the third, surprising names that went in the third. We're going to touch on the quarterbacks first, and then we're going to get to the elephant in the room. Let's talk the 74th pick of the whole draft, 10th pick of this round. Desmond Ritter, quarterback of Cincinnati, goes off the board to go to the Atlanta Falcons. He's going to push Mariota back there. And he had a great quote. And I love it, where he said, they're going to get Super Bowls out of me. That's because someone asked him what can be expected of you, and he said Super Bowls. I'm going to win this franchise Super Bowls. I love that confidence. And you know what? Go fucking get it, Desmond Ritter. That's all I got to say. Go get it. And then we talked about the controversy in Tennessee. Here's where it came up. The 86th pick of the draft, third round, Malik Willis, quarterback of Liberty, goes to the Tennessee Titans. Now, Ryan Tannehill was asked, I think yesterday or even today, I don't know when it was, how he feels about the pick of Malik Willis, and does he feel that he needs to mentor him? And he said, we're in competition. I like Malik, but we're ultimately in competition. I don't think it's my job to mentor him. And with that, I'm saying goodbye, Ryan Tannehill. And unless you are a superstar, and this has happened, the Packers quarterbacks are famous for this. Brett Favre told Aaron Rodgers to eat a dick. Aaron Rodgers said he doesn't have to train anybody. But the difference is Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers are Hall of Famers. They're all-time greats. Ryan Tannehill is a nice player. He's a really good game manager. He's great at handing the ball off to Derrick Henry and missing some throws late in the playoffs games. But yes, you do have to train Malik Willis. I'm sorry. I know you're in competition, but you're not there much longer. You're there for game film at this point, Ryan Tannehill. And how good can you hand the football off? Because the pressure is going to be on big time early this year. Whether Malik Willis is ready or not, they're going to put him in if Ryan Tannehill falters, because Malik Willis has athleticism. He has a lot of potential, and they're going to see what they have. I know you have a little dissenting opinions on this, Dave. I think Tannehill, and I think all older quarterbacks, listen, when you're done. Ryan Tannehill's almost toast. I really think he is. I thought he was toast pretty much leaving Miami. He had a jolt to life in Tennessee. He had one really good year, but then we're seeing who he is. What do you think about this, Dave?
I don't see the difference is toast is not being able to play at all in the league. That's what toast is. And that's not what Ryan Tannehill is, at least not in the suit. You could say he's going to be a backup soon. That'd be fine. But that's not what toast is. And my take is that almost any QB, you don't need to mentor a younger QB. If you're a vet and you know that you might be on the way out soon, like McCown or like Fitzy, then it's more of a right thing to do, especially if you're just a transitory QB, to go ahead and mentor a younger QB. But if you feel like it's still your team, if you want to go out and prove that it's your team, you don't need to mentor the QB. It could be the right thing to do to go and mentor a young QB, but you don't need to do it. Now, if the team sees differently and they don't want you there anymore, that's fine. But that's not up to him to do it. Should he have said it in public? No.
Is he not transitory right now? He became a transitory quarterback.
You could argue he is, but it's also a QB that they picked up in the 3rd round. Let's be honest about this. Malik Willis is still a project. He's not a 1st-round QB. A 3rd-round QB does not just make you transitory. Now, you could say you could have as little confidence as you want in Ryan Tannehill as a fan or as someone who just watches football. It all depends on what the Titans think of him. And I mean, they did just get rid of A.J. Brown, but they picked up a wide receiver in his place. So I don't know how much they have let up on Ryan Tannehill. I assume it's at least a little bit, but I don't know if it's enough to say he's a transitory QB and he has to mentor Malik Willis.
See, to me, that also projects insecurity, though. It also projects insecurity of you as a person. And I don't think any guy wants to go to war with a guy like that, wants to go play a game with a guy like that. Because you know what? When anyone asks you like that, I'll be like, yeah, I'll coach up the kid. He'll be great one day. I'm going to make sure that I do him, but this is my football team. I'll make sure he's ready to go when I'm done, but this is my team and I'll make sure he's a great player. That's all you need to say, but he's not confident. Obviously, he's not confident in his position.
Now, yet again, that's fine. I don't disagree entirely with that, but he doesn't need to mentor the QB. That is not a need for him to do. That is not what he's on the team to do. They paid him damn good money to go and be a starter and be QB1. Let's not forget that they gave Tannehill a deal.
They did.
So he's not there to mentor Malik Willis. He doesn't need to do it. Maybe he shouldn't have said it in public, like I said before, but it's not a need. It's something that you could want him to do.
Now, here is something, Dave, that needs to be said in public. The Philadelphia Eagles quite easily got the biggest and best steal outside of possibly metal in Nakobe Dean, linebacker from Georgia, with the 83rd pick in the draft.
Yes.
Nakobe Dean is a first-round talent. First rounder. A lot of people had him knocking on top 15 door. Quay Walker goes before him, his teammate. Nakobe Dean, when you watch game film, not even watch game film, fuck game film, watch Georgia play. Watch the national championship. Watch the playoff. That defense flowed through Nakobe Dean. He was the heart and soul. He was all over on the field, made every big play that team needed within the trenches. This is the biggest head scratcher to me. I was texting one of my buddies throughout the night, an Eagles fan, about this. And every time the Eagles came up and they didn't pick Nakobe Dean, he was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? What are they doing? Why? And then when they got Nakobe Dean over in the 83rd pick, he was elated. It's the best pick in the draft. And it fell to the Eagles. I think they might have traded up to go grab him. I think they traded up a few picks here.
No.
But regardless. No, they didn't. But regardless, you get Nakobe Dean at 83, best value in the draft by far. And he is going to make a lot of teams regret passing him up. A lot of them.
The only thing I saw on Nakobe that was an issue was that I think he was waiting to have surgery, but that was it. I think he's waiting long enough that I'm not sure how much he touches the field in his rookie year. Mm-hmm. But I mean, with how damn good he looked as a linebacker in college, I still think you take a good chance on him. And Eagles overall, the Eagles had a pretty good draft just picking up Nakobe Dean. So I mean, that overall could be the main steal of the draft. I know I mentioned Mechie, but Nakobe Dean could be the main steal of the draft with everyone just deciding to not pick him up. I know we were talking about it as Jets fans. Like, just go pick up Nakobe Dean. Go get him.
We need linebacker help. Another guy I want to talk about real quick before we jump on. I don't know how much more we're going to do because I don't know how many more guys we actually know. But 94th pick of the draft, Matt Corral, quarterback, Mississippi, goes to the Panthers. A similar situation, not as similar as Tannehill because Darnold doesn't have any of the credentials that Tannehill has, but you put Sam Darnold on notice. He's walking in as a starter. I mean, PJ Walker is not going to beat out Darnold for the starting spot, but Matt Corral certainly might give him a run. Maybe not this year, but we'll see if Darnold, this is set up for Matt Corral to take the reins as of next year, because unless Darnold has a huge turnaround, which again, I have no ill will towards Sam Darnold. I hope Sam Darnold comes out, those 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, has 3,000 yards and shuts everybody the fuck up. I really do. I like Sam a lot. I really like Sam Darnold a lot, but it doesn't look like his career trajectory is going that way. So Matt Corral puts him on notice. Do you think we see Matt Corral by the end of this year, Dave? Do you think it's that bad over in Carolina? We see Matt Corral by the end of this year?
Possibly. It just depends on how good he's looking in training camp. I don't think they just throw him out there unless he looks ready enough and the situation's bad enough. I don't know if he will look ready enough. I don't know if he'll look that much more ready than PJ Walker, honestly. Yet again, we have to look at where these QBs are picked.
Yes.
If they were good enough, they go higher. So with that said, I don't think we see him this year.
I don't want to bore everyone with the Jets pick at 101 with Jeremy Ruckert. The only thing I want to say about him is the story behind the pick is beautiful. Yeah. He is a lifelong Jets fan. His reaction, I said it the other day when talking about the Jets draft. I'm going to say it now. Go watch that reaction with his family and just the emotion his whole family has, and especially his dad at the end and how happy his dad is. And just the quotes coming out of him, like he's ready to come to work. And I didn't even know he was graded as high as the second best tight end on a lot of people's draft boards. So again, Joe Douglas getting amazing value out of his picks. Dave, have you been looking into the fourth? Anybody that you notice, anyone that you really want to talk about? Is there anyone in the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh that you have any interest in?
No one in the fourth, fifth, or sixth. I do just want to give a shout out to Mr. Irrelevant.
Always.
Brock Purdy, QB of Iowa State, going those 49ers. Yes. I hope you see a long time in the NFL. I hope you do well. Every Mr. Irrelevant, I hope, does very well because, I mean, you still got picked in the draft, buddy. That's awesome. It's called Mr. Irrelevant because it's just at the time where it's like no one cares anymore.
What's wild to me is there's a better chance of being successful as an undrafted free agent than there is being picked in the 6th and 7th round, which is wild to me. And interesting fact that I read, and this is kind of an aside, a lot of agents of players get on the phone with teams and tell them not to pick them when it comes to the 7th round, because they said during the draft, the teams have all the power. So when they draft you, they have the power over you. When you're an undrafted free agent, you then have the power to kind of go out and get some good money. The Jets picked up a linebacker and they're paying him $130,000 guaranteed. That is much better than what a 7th round guy is getting. He's not getting any guaranteed money. At minimum, this guy's getting $130,000 through rookie minicamp. That's really good. It's really good for a guy that's undrafted. So that's a little aside. I do have to give a shout out. Last thing. Bo Melton, wide receiver Rutgers, went over to Seattle Seahawks. Not a big Seattle fan. I am a big Bo Melton fan, so I'll be rooting for him there. He was picked 229th in the 7th round. And then if I can find him, Isaiah Pacheco also went off the board. Rutgers, where was Isaiah picked?
Down at...
He's in the 7th. There he is. He went over 251 to the Chiefs, who do need some running back help and depth there. And they went crazy about Isaiah Pacheco when they picked him up. You know who they compared him to, Dave? Darren Sproles.
Wow.
Isaiah Pacheco.
That's a great comparison.
Sproles grade. And the guy said the fact that he came off in the 7th round is crazy. A lot of people had them as a 4th, 5th round talent, and Bo Melton up at a 5th round talent. So both Seattle, and apparently he's already on the depth chart as a 3-4 wide receiver in the Seattle. So Rutgers looks like they're going to get some play here. Futakasi, I think also Funele Futakasi, I think went to the Raiders rookie minicamp or he got signed as an undrafted free agent. So Rutgers guys doing some things. So I'm pumped about that. I'm looking forward to watching Bo Melton play with the Seahawks. I'm looking forward to watching Isaiah Pacheco play. But all right, everyone also, shout out to Mr. Irrelevant. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. I think this went off as a little bit of a marathon, but there's a lot of people to cover. So makes sense. It's the draft. People get used to it. All right, Dave, any last words before we sign off?
No, not really. I hope it's a good year for just about everyone in the NFL other than AFC East rivals. Not going to lie to you. I hope it's a bad year.
Yep.
But everyone else, have a good year. And it's coming sooner than you think. It's crazy, but it's coming sooner than you think.
Mandatory minicamp starting June, baby, and we already have OTAs going, and we saw Zach Wilson throwing some passes. The man looks diesel. But anyway, if you like what you hear, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars, Spotify and iTunes. Spread this word of mouth. Go find us on socials, The Alex Cuesta Show. Everybody, hopefully I record something tomorrow. Who knows? My track record lately tells everybody, look for me on Monday. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Have a good one, y'all. Bye.